update to my 240Z. I've had this now for, gosh, about 25 years, and I've slowly built it up from pretty stock 1971Z to something I used to autocross in its almost stock form. Basically, I put some 16-inch wheels on it and a bigger roll bar, a little bit of engine work, some headers, but still using the L28 to now something that's a bit crazier. I've shown a few clips of it over the years, but I've done a lot of work on it recently, so wanted to show you that and really just give you kind of a complete once-over on the whole car. So still pretty stock body, except I've got these fiberglass fenders. They're pretty custom. They started as a kit, but then we had to do a lot of work to really make it look right. Got some beautiful 18-inch wheels, basically 18 by 12. These are complete custom wheels with a 5-inch offset. These are Hoosier slicks. They're basically Hoosier R07s, 295/30 ZR18s. I've got the traditional air dam. Everybody's got one. And I've put a custom canard on each side, and then built a custom carbon fiber splitter. Works real nice. Does a good job on the track. People ask about these snouts here and the intercooler setup, because when I remove the motor, you'll see that the intercooler is set up flat. What happens here in the intake, the way that's routed, is the air comes in. It's 2 separate chambers. Actually now 3 separate chambers. That's one of the changes. We've got a chamber here dedicated for the oil cooler, so it's got its own air shrouding. We've got a chamber here for the radiator. Really, you don't need a lot of input for the radiator. You need about 1/3 to the surface of the radiator. And then we've got a whole shrouding here to route the air to the intercooler, so it's forced into there and then pulled, given the negative cowl effect of the hood. This is really a negative space right here, so it's pulling the air out of these nostrils, the intercooler. And we've done a temperature check. At speed, it's cold as ever, so that way the intercooler is not fighting with the radiator for airflow. And also it's just a packaging opportunity. And then of course these 2 vents, like any vents, which, you know, I made these custom instead of the normal 280Z vents, but these vents are just evacuating hot air out of the motor. Nice little APR mirrors on the brakes, running Willwood 13.3, I think, drilled brakes. I went ahead and years ago painted the calipers red, took the Willwood label out, and then painted a Datsun logo on it. Just having a little bit of fun. You can see they're a little bit banged up, but they work pretty well. They're basically able to stop this car. They don't get hot on the track under repeated use. They could be better when you're talking about the track speeds that I can get at. It's something like Circuit of America's. Could use a little bit more brake, but generally they work. Got an APR wing. It's the shortest wing they sell. You know, anything wider and you're really sticking out on the sides. I've got the extra riser, so it sticks up just about right. You can see there, that's just about what they tell you, you know, academically, what versus the airflow that's coming off the top of the car versus what needs to be picked up with the wing. The wing set at just 5 degrees. And the back here, temporarily I've got a little carbon fiber bumper, but I did order a chrome bumper. I like to keep a bit of the classical look. There's the ATL fuselage. Again, I sort of repainted it and put a Datsun label on it. I don't know, sense of humor. Here's custom little side splitters. So yeah, there's just a carbon fiber panel over Clegicell. Really simple, wrapped up and then screwed to the underside of the body. Here's the interior of the Z. I've got 2 Tillet B1 seats. I ordered the pads. Pads are not here yet. I used to have some different seats, but I sold those. They were just about too wide for the body, for the interior of the car, so the doors kind of had to slam them shut. I made a nice little carbon fiber floor because you'll see in the underbody tour, it's a flat body, cut out the normal steel floor, so I had to create a floor because otherwise there's a steel grid under there. It's not real comfortable to try and sit on. Door cards, carbon fiber. Made a custom mold of that just to create a nice smooth single panel. Works real nicely. Very light. A little bit of a tinny sound though. Got the traditional Pro Comp autometer gauges. Yeah, kind of a problem because running the Motec, you end up having to run a redundant set of sensors for certain things like fuel temperature and oil temperature or oil pressure. Got my little switch bay, a little shifter that actually comes from a Porsche Boxster. Pattern works out though, so good deal. There's the adjuster for the brake proportioning instead of an ashtray. I've got a nice little carbon fiber center panel and then a carbon fiber dashboard. Both of those I bought, so no credit for making those. And then nice roll cage where we designed it so that it really doesn't terribly inhibit getting in and out of the car, but still provides a lot of the nice support. You know, one of the things I regret in making this roll cage, while it's very much legal in terms of the specs for a cage for competition, it doesn't allow the seat to go back enough, and that's a bit of a pain in the ass. I really need those 2 inches back. Back here, we've got the nice small battery in there, and then the fuel cell and the fuel filler in the back area. So, and that just opens up to a steel cage holding the fuel cell. So it's technically it's blocked off from the cabin. It just opens the door to where the normal fuel filler is. Yeah, that's the interior of the car. Here we are. This is custom built RB26. Generic intercooler. It was just kind of custom body fabricated for this car. I forget who made the radiator. It's not really important. This is the most beautiful part, custom Plenum Creations carbon fiber intake. Just gorgeous, but required quite a bit of work to get it to fit. Had them do a custom shorter set of runners in order to fit. One of the things about this motor is it's sitting straight up. Most people have their RBs tilted over a bit, but once you have it sit straight up, you get a bit more room for your turbo, but you lose a lot of the room you would otherwise have for your intake because it's sitting lower and starts to compete with the shock tower bodies. That's a Sonar Rotor 64mm turbo. Motor has it's really a 2.9, almost a 3-liter. It's got a 79mm Crowler crankshaft, a billet crank. We've got some Manley rods and CP pistons. You know, the head's been redone. Basically, it's nice and polished, ported for. Yeah, well, anyway, it's a nicely done head. I don't have all the specs for you off the top of my mind. Some of the challenges though maintaining this thing, you can see here, turbo wants to create a lot of heat. You have to keep that heat from your brake master cylinder, your brake fluid. So I'm doing a lot of work to insulate that, keep the heat out of that. Got a nice little cowl based vent, so it tries to pull the air out of there. It does a pretty good job. One of the things I have here is a daily engineering dry sump under the car, and you can see that when we do a little underbody tour. But that dry sump has a nice little catch can right there, and then the oil tank's right there where the battery would normally be, and that oil tank actually goes all the way down and sticks out a bit in the wheel well of the car, so it's just enough oil capacity. Got a custom little cross member that holds it both laterally and through the car against the cross members inside, so nice firm grip. Yeah, I don't know what else here, what's worth talking about. Anyway, here we are. Now you can see here the label there, custom made. It's a little CNC'd out of a piece of aluminum and then welded to the normal cam cover centerpiece. I'm having a little fun with the labeling, try to make the car look as much like it came this way. I'm going to show you guys a little bit of the bottom of this Datsun. First thing to notice is I've got this Apex crossmember, and they do a great job, but we had to hack it up to try and get the daily dry sump in there. And one thing is, you can see here, it's way too low. When you see it on the ground, you'd realize it's way too low. And the steering angle is just shit. It's just way too much effort to steer. So I'm gonna have to take that apart and try and come up with something else. But anywho, we got an old Arizona Z setup, the aluminum billet pieces, and as I mentioned there, that's the daily dry sump, which is just awesome. Takes care of a ton of oil issues. I have the traditional Z32. Let's get in there. Z32 transmission in there. One big old exhaust pipe running back. I used to run twin oval pipes, but just a giant pain in the ass to maintain them. I think one of the other notable things here is the aluminum floor. Yes, so there is essentially a steel, square steel subframe. So the entire floor is just a series of X members, really strengthening up the underbody of this car. Means you don't get that sort of torsional movement that you might get with an older body. And then just to top it off, the aluminum floor, and then above it is a carbon fiber floor, which keeps everything nice and stiff. And all that's mated, of course, to the full cage inside. Coming back, we can see we've got the R200 long nose. I'd love to put an 8.8 in there. No matter what you say, the R200s just don't hold up to this kind of thrashing that they get regularly at the track. Arizona Z, chromoly arms, some custom drive shaft shop drive shafts. Anyway, I've got the Arizona Z 13.3 drilled brakes in the front, and then the 12-inch brakes in the back. Because I used to run a dual pipes back, I still had the dual muffler, so I went ahead and just routed the new single pipe into a single line. Anywho, fuel cell right back there. You can see lots of thermal wrapping. I'm trying to keep that fuel cold enough. And then inside that little aluminum shielding are two small fuel pumps. And yeah, that's the setup.